Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and you're watching the Waifu Files, a series where we discover and celebrate various anime and games through their lovely ladies. For this episode, we'll be shining a spotlight on the classic key visual novel Clannad. More specifically, this will cover the Clannad anime series from KyoAni. Clannad's movie is just awful, and I can't believe it was ever greenlit for production. Clannad's show, however, is a masterclass in romance and tragedy. Based on the VN, it covers a variety of character arcs worth looking at. Without further ado, let's dive into some waifu. The story of Clannad is told from the perspective of Tomoyo Okazaki, a pessimistic high schooler who hates his town of Hikarizaka. His drunk, single dad injured his arm, preventing him from playing basketball on a competitive level. Tomoya's cynical attitude gives him a reputation as a delinquent. That is, until he meets a timid, fragile girl named Nagisa. Tomoyo finds himself helping her re-establish the school's drama club, which introduces him to a group of precious friends and potential lovers who transform his life for the better. It is a tale emphasizing the importance of family, whether it be one's blood relatives or the community at large. Clannad's central heroine is Nagisa Furukawa, an adorable girl who loves singing the Dango Daikazoku, or Great Dango Family song. Ever since her birth on Christmas Eve, Nagisa has been plagued by a debilitating illness. It, combined with her parents' negligence, nearly killed her during a winter storm. Miraculously, however, Nagisa's father, Akio, begged for her health, and it's like the town itself spared her life. Appreciating this blessing, her parents changed careers so they could be closer as a family. She does her best in school to make her family proud, but despite her efforts, her illness has her missing class enough that she has to repeat a year. To make it through each day, Nagisa shouts the name of her favorite food, anpan. She dreams of putting on a play for the school festival, an original piece about a lonely girl constructing a sentient robot in a desolate world of illusion. Sadly, the school's drama club shut down from inactivity, and she lacks the assertiveness to recruit new members. It's strangely fateful, then, that Tomoyo winds up helping her. The two make her dream a reality, restoring the club and putting together a decent production. Just before the festival, though, Nagisa discovers her family's photo albums and learns about their sacrifice. She starts to blame herself for the fact that her father wanted to be an actor, but gave up that dream for her sake. The guilt drags her down, and on stage, she breaks out in tears, nearly ruining everything she worked toward. Fortunately, Akio encourages his daughter, clarifying that his new dream is for her to be happy. Knowing that his dream is hers, she touches the audience with her mysterious play. Encouraged by her bravery, Tomoyo confesses to Nagisa, and they become a sweet, albeit shy, couple. While living with the Furukawas, Tomoyo continues to support Nagisa as their love blooms. Tragically, Nagisa's sickness comes back, prompting her to miss out on their graduation. As she repeats the term, it's her turn to support Tomoyo as he adjusts to the workforce. Tensions rise when Tomoyo's dad robs him of his chance at a promotion. When things are at their lowest, Tomoyo proposes, and Nagisa tearfully accepts. Their married life is wonderful, and Nagisa even gets a job as a waitress at a family restaurant. Even so, it's not long before Nagisa wants to become a mother, regardless of her weak constitution. Tomoyo humors this for her sake, but is traumatized as another winter storm strikes right when their baby is due. It doesn't help that she insists on having a home birth. Thus, while Nagisa safely delivers her daughter, it ultimately kills her. Mind you, this is just one of many possible timelines. In essence, Nagisa's fate is tied to the very town she lives in. The more Tomoyo resents this town, the worse her illness becomes. Only by engaging with his community and enriching their lives can Tomoyo create a miracle that changes fate. In the best possible ending, Nagisa survives giving birth and happily lives on with her family. Nagisa's arc with Tomoyo is one of the most compassionate and heart-wrenching romances out there, and in the anime they don't even kiss. She just goes from hand-holding to morning sickness. No wonder hand-holding is a meme. Don't get me wrong, I love the other girls too, but Nagisa is so precious that I can't help but root for her. Nagisa's daughter is Ushio Okazaki. She is named after her mom, whose name means shore. Fittingly then, Ushio means tide, sharing the theme of water. Before Tomoya creates a miracle, Nagisa dies right after giving birth. This plunges him into depression, which he handles by drinking and smoking. Refusing to care for his own daughter, Tomoya instead has Nagisa's mom, Sanae, raise her into a kindergartner. Still, hoping to repair their broken bond, Sanae arranges for Tomoya and Ushio to take a trip together. Poor Ushio wants her daddy back, but he's too angry and bitter to realize this. Fortunately, their trip has them starting fresh. Her favorite toy becomes the robot he buys her, which turns out to be quite significant. Along the journey, Tomoya meets his grandmother, Shino, and she explains how difficult it was for Tomoya's dad, Naoyuki, to raise the child on his own after the loss of his wife. Ironically, despite hating his own father, Tomoya has become just like the old drunkard. Now enlightened, however, Tomoya finally steps up as Ushio's dad, and their relationship is beautiful. Together, they both mourn and love Nagisa, as well as each other. He even brings Ushio to go see Naoyuki, mending their past trauma. In a cruel turn of events, though, just like her mom, it seems Ushio's life force is also tied to the town. With the coming of a harsh winter, she dies of the same mysterious illness. This becomes the catalyst for Clannad's illusionary world. The lore is a bit confusing, but basically, Ushio creates this metaphysical space in the afterlife as a means to save her family. Here, she is the only human, and to ease her loneliness, she builds a robotic doll out of junk. It comes to life, inhabited by her own father. Together, they observe as the illusionary world turns to winter, but then they start seeing orbs of light, which represent the happiness of people in the real world. By gathering enough of these orbs, the two of them create a miracle that saves Nagisa, and by extension, Ushio. In-game, these orbs are earned through completing other routes, rewarding you with a happy end to Nagisa's arc for completing the entire story. I love how this is contextualized, and it's cool how Ushio is secretly the hero that allows this ending to emerge. Also, I know what you're thinking. She's a child, not a proper waifu, but that won't stop me from covering her story platonically. Nagisa's mother, as well as Ushio's grandma, is Sanae Furukawa. She and her husband Akio were a very young couple who had a child while they were both chasing their careers. After this commitment nearly caused Nagisa's untimely death, Sanae chose to forsake her career as a junior high teacher in order to stay at home and be with her daughter. She and Akio refurbish their home into a local bakery so they can stay close whenever Nagisa's illness emerges. It's a challenging yet honest life that they peacefully settle into. Oddly enough, despite choosing this profession, Sanae is a terrible chef, and her experimental breads are always failures. Akio then picks up the slack, doing most of the baking in her place. He's fully aware of how awful Sanae's bread is, but whenever he accidentally admits it in her presence, she breaks down in tears, and he has to chase after her with nasty bread in mouth. Fortunately, Sanae hasn't completely given up teaching. She tutors children as part of the Furukawa cram school, and is beloved within the community. She loves it when people accidentally mistake her as Nagisa's older sister, and because she can pose as a student, there's even an arc where she pretends to be the girlfriend of Tomoya's classmate Mei Sunohara. Sanae might seem naive and airheaded, but she comes in clutch when necessary. She's surprisingly perceptive and supportive, often hiding her stress behind a compassionate smile. In that regard, she goes from comic relief to delightfully mature, to the point where she's the most believable character. For as much as she's willing to raise Ushio when Tomoya spirals into despair, she does everything she can to fix things. Then, she has to return Ushio to her dad, which is also painful. It's heart-wrenching when she finally lets out all her pent-up sadness. I've gotta say, Sanae is definitely one of anime's best moms. Nagisa isn't the only romantic interest Clannad has to offer. There are other girls, such as Kyou Fujibayashi. She's our story's tsundere type, masking her kind sentimentality behind a tomboyish aggression. Oddly enough, this garners her more support from other girls than it does her male classmates. They worship her as Kyo-sama, and fittingly, she's the class representative. Despite being responsible about school duties, she makes 2 exceptions. One is her motorized scooter, which she rides to campus. She rides it like a maniac, crashing into or running over Tomoya on the regular. The other is her pet boar Botan, which technically isn't supposed to be roaming the grounds. She adopted Botan after finding him shivering in the cold rain, and let's be real, he's an adorable mascot. Kyo is very protective of her younger sister, Ryou, and takes the offensive by hurling books at whoever approaches Ryou. She's so protective that she even suppresses her own feelings for Tomoya after she learns that Ryou also has a crush on him. Thus, she acts as her sister's wingman, or wingwoman. Either way, it's a masochistic endeavor. For as much as she pushes Tomoya towards Ryou, she truly wishes she could be with him. In her plot route, Kyo suggests that Tomoya practice kissing her so that it's not awkward when he kisses Ryou. Of course, this makes things awkward for everyone when Tomoya actually falls for her instead. The 3 of them are trapped in a love triangle where none of them can pursue their desires without someone getting hurt. Afraid of being rejected, Kyo actually cuts her hair short and pretends to be Ryou, only for Tomoya to confess that he loves her. With their feelings finally out in the open, Kyo dates Tomoya while growing her hair back. When feelings collide, it seems that honesty paves the way to a brighter future. Of course, if you're on Nagisa's route, both sisters lament being rejected. Eventually, Kyo becomes Ushio's kindergarten teacher, and her boar Botan has grown to be massive. Of the 2 sisters, I definitely prefer Kyo for being a tomboy. Ryou, the younger Fujibayashi twin, is more timid and clumsy. While she's good at doing chores, that doesn't extend to cooking, which she feels inferior about. Rather than Kyo's athleticism, Ryou takes an interest in fortune-telling and is always found with tarot or playing cards on hand. Despite this fascination, her predictions are typically wrong. She loves Tomoya and plays along as Kyo tries to hook them up together. Naively, she believes that Kyo has truly gotten over him, but as soon as it's clear that's not the case, she reluctantly encourages her sister to pursue her own happiness, even if it means breaking up with Tomoya. In the anime, she goes on to attend nursing school. Strangely, Ryou's route in the visual novel is completely different. She instead falls in love with a boy named Kappei Hiragi, who is suffering from osteosarcoma. He refuses treatment, as it would mean amputating one of his legs. Not wanting him to die from his cancer, Ryou tries a number of things to convince him to seek a cure, such as threatening to get pregnant with his child while he's asleep. Fortunately, it doesn't come to that, and Kappei accepts a brand new treatment where he gets to keep his leg. This route gives more justification to Ryou becoming a nurse. Clannad's resident brainiac is Kotomi Ichinose, the genius daughter of 2 late scientists. She's a total bookworm, skipping class to spend her entire day reading at the school library. Rather than checking out or buying books like a normal person, Kotomi feels the urge to simply cut out her favorite passages with a pair of scissors. For as bright as she seems, she's clearly dense in other areas. She and Tomoya used to be childhood friends, but that changed when Kotomi's parents were killed in a plane crash. Understandably, hearing the news of this traumatized her, and she began to resent her parents' research, blaming it for their need to travel on her birthday. In a dangerous move, she fled to her parents' study and set fire to what she thought was their main research paper. She nearly burned the house down in the process, and now regrets what she did. Ever since, she's kept others at a safe distance, not wanting to lose anyone she cares about. Her anxiety is strong enough that, when a school bus gets into an accident, she screams in horror, even though nobody was hurt. Because of her reclusive nature, Kotomi has become antisocial, requiring Tomoya to help her converse with people. Otherwise, in perfectly normal conversations, she'll assume she's being bullied. Despite being excellent in academics, her attempts to play the violin result in a cacophony of screeches. She's just so sweet and passionate, however, that her friends are willing to endure this pain so she can put on a solo recital from hell. After the recital, Kotomi is followed by a suspicious man. Luckily, the guy's actually a family acquaintance who helped her as a child. He's come to deliver a suitcase recovered from her parents' plane crash. Inside is a teddy bear, one her parents were planning to give her on her birthday. It, and its accompanying letter, were passed along all across the planet to reach her. Ironically, the document she burned as a child was actually a teddy bear catalog. Now realizing how much they loved her, Kotomi gains the confidence to live life to the fullest. She resumes her parents' topic of research, parallel worlds, and it's implied she may one day understand the illusionary world of Tomoya's dreams. While a bit half-baked, I still like how there's some scientific grounding to this story's more fantastical ideas. By the end of the anime, Kotomi moves to America to continue her studies. Her serene sweetness and compelling passion make her an endearing waifu. One of the more unique waifu in Clannad is Tomoyo Sakagami, a heroine so popular that she has her own spin-off novel. When she was younger, Tomoyo was a delinquent like Tomoya. Her parents were in the middle of a divorce, and she dealt with this by hanging out with gangsters. She may not like starting fights, but she sure can carry herself in one. That said, she wants to escape her delinquent past to honor the memory of her little brother Takafumi. While Tomoyo was toughing out the divorce, poor Takafumi wanted to keep the family together. He threatened to jump into a rapid river and nearly died in the process. This brought the Sakagamis together, and for the first time in a long while, they enjoyed a peaceful walk through Hikarizaka's blooming cherry blossoms. Tomoyo's family now makes it a yearly ritual to visit these precious trees. To ensure the school's cherry trees are preserved, she strives to become student council president, but worries her past reputation will disqualify her. Since Tomoya is also a delinquent, Tomoyo makes an effort to help rehabilitate him. This means dragging him to school on time and escorting him on his way home. Despite her efforts, her past comes back to haunt her when gangsters confront her at the school gate. Even though she's just defending herself, it'll harm her reputation, and so Tomoya takes the blame for her sake. As part of Tomoyo's election campaign, she challenges all of the school's athletic clubs at their respective sports, and her success gains her popularity. Her romantic route gets more complicated, as joining the student council leaves Tomoyo with no time to spend with Tomoya during the school festival. Even worse, school officials in the student council don't want their president dating who they consider to be a bad influence. While Tomoyo has no intention of letting that stop her, Tomoya feels like a burden and reluctantly breaks up with her for her own good. She's gonna go places in life, and he doesn't want to hold her back, especially considering he doesn't plan to go to college. After 8 months pass, Tomoyo succeeds in saving the sakura trees, but admits she's lost something precious in the process. She affirms that she wants to be with Tomoya, regardless of where it takes them, and it's not like they can't be together while she attends university. While I'm sure the spin-off novel, Tomoyo After, is really good, I personally haven't read it yet. Still, it's clear that Tomoyo is a very special character in this story. Let's just say her appeal is as high as her combo count on Sunohara's phase. Fuuko Ibuki is another student at Hikarizaka High School, but there's a catch. Technically, the Fuuko we're introduced to is a ghost, or Ikiryo. In reality, a traffic accident put her into a coma, and she's been that way for years. This has stopped her sister, Kouko, from marrying her fiancé. Fuuko's desire to support her sister has her manifesting as a living spirit who wanders the school. In an empty classroom, she carves wooden blocks into starfish and wants to give them out to her classmates as invitations to Kouko's wedding. Problem is, because she's a spirit, not everyone can see her. Tomoya and Nagisa can, which is why they help Fuuko arrange a wedding at school for Kouko. You see, Kouko used to be an art teacher on campus, but since it's been a few years, the current students don't remember her and are less likely to attend the wedding. Regardless, Fuuko presses on, sharing her bizarre obsession with starfish with her classmates. To support her, Tomoya and Nagisa arrange for a fake lesson so that Fuuko can even attend class as an ordinary student. She even winds up amassing a fan club that comes to her rescue when teased. Leading up to the wedding, Fuuko stays with Nagisa's family, and they help her carve more starfish. Despite this, the one person she wants to be seen by the most, her own sister, fails to do so. As a result, Fuuko's spiritual power weakens, and it looks like the wedding plans are about to fall apart. Tomoya and Nagisa are the last people to forget her, yet Fuuko cherishes the time they had together. Ultimately, through another miracle of sorts, the students given her starfish show up just in time to celebrate. Even though Fuuko disappeared for a time, her feelings remain, and she's able to congratulate her sister before vanishing altogether. Years later, Fuuko's real body wakes from her coma, and she becomes best friends with Ushio. It's pretty funny how a 15-year-old resonates so much with a kindergartner. She remains a positive force in Tomoya's life after most of his other classmates have moved on. He may no longer remember meeting Fuuko's spirit in school, but she's been helping him just as much as he helped her. It's super sweet. As I said before, Fuuko's sister Kouko Ibuki used to work at Hikarizaka High School as an art teacher. She's engaged to a former student, Yusuke Yoshino. He dreamt of becoming a rock musician, and she encouraged him to chase his dream. Sure enough, Yusuke rose to fame singing for his own sake. But before long, he realized his songs were just as important to the hundreds and thousands of his listeners. Overcome with pressure to please his fans, Yusuke's career fell apart, leaving him right back where he started. Nobody wanted to support him after his drug rehabilitation, that is, except for Kouko, who still cared for him all these years later. He now works as a humble electrician to support them while Fuuko's in the hospital. Fortunately, they all have a happy ending as Fuuko wakes up. It's no surprise that Kouko's protective of her sister, but Fuuko thinks she's being a bit too protective. What do you think? Tomoya's delinquent friend at school is Mei Sunohara. A violent conflict had him kicked out from the soccer team, yet he still stays at the athletic dorm. Because of this, his little sister Mei worries about him and comes visiting from the countryside. She takes an interest in Tomoya's love life and acts like a Cupid figure to support his relationship with Nagisa. Mei and her brother feud with each other, but in truth, they share a close sibling bond. Hoping to prove he can take care of himself, Yohei gets Nagisa's mom to pose as his girlfriend. For as nice as this seems, Mei discovers that what she really wants is to see Yohei acting like the big bro he used to be, someone who would come to her rescue when she's in danger. Hoping to trigger her brother's protective instincts, Mei pretends to date Tomoya, sparking tension between them. When this isn't enough to bring back the old Yohei, though, Mei then tries to reinstate him into the soccer team. She doesn't realize that Yohei was provoked into fighting his teammates, so even if he did rejoin, he wouldn't be happy there. The soccer players resort to bullying Mei, stringing her along with false hope. This finally prompts Yohei to save her. At first, the conflict gets out of hand, ending with Yohei and Tomoya beating the crap out of each other over his misunderstanding. It's not pretty, but everything still works out nicely. Mei's a good kid and a decent platonic waifu. The woman managing Yohei's dorm is Misae Sagara. She's a girl boss with the will and skills to crack the whip when students break dorm rules. When she was a student, she was Hikarizaka's first female student council president. Tomoyo admires her for this, seeking her advice with matters of leadership. In her student days, Misae met an injured boy named Katsuki Shima. She encouraged him when he was recovering in the hospital, and even though he ultimately died there, he still yearned to thank her. Miraculously, he entrusted this mission to his cat, who then took on a human form. The cat version of Katsuki found Misae at school and offered to grant her wish. As expected, Misae found this weird, and his presence got in the way of pursuing her crush. She didn't want her wish granted, but despite the rejection, Kitty Katsuki was persistent. Their dynamic changed when Katsuki learned that the boy Misae liked didn't reciprocate her feelings. At the town's fall festival, Misae admitted she had fallen for Katsuki. Even though she expressed herself with a kiss, Katsuki realized he couldn't remain as a human, not after learning he was truly a cat. Not knowing any of this, Misae made her wish to always love each other. Regardless, Katsuki vanished, leaving her alone in the crowd. Misae now lives on as an adult, having no clue that the cat by her side is actually the boy she fell in love with. She can't exactly date a cat, but she nonetheless pledges to stay with her beloved companion. Their circumstances are certainly strange, but no less endearing. Overall, Misae is the kind of waifu you go to if you want to be manhandled, by a woman, naturally. One of Tomoyo's classmates is Yukine Miyazawa, a kind, paternal girl who was cherished among different gangs from other schools. Most of her screen time is spent entertaining guests with tea, food, and coffee. She listens to their problems, asking nothing in return. Of course, she has her own drama as well. Her brother Kazuto was a gang leader, and through him, she came to understand the rivalry between other delinquents in town. Unfortunately, Kazuto died while trying to save a friend, and to prevent further conflict, Yukine kept his death a secret from his own gang. Since then, the gang has looked up to Yukine as an older sister of sorts. She cooks for them and tends to their wounds. It turns out Sunohara happens to look like Kazuto, and the misunderstanding causes the rival gang to declare war. This takes a toll on Yukine, so it's time for Tomoyo to return the favor by serving as a lap pillow. The gangs all expect Kazuto to make an appearance, but Yukine hesitates to reveal the truth. Still, the guilt from seeing her friends get hurt prompts her to action. She disguises herself as Kazuto and takes to battle. After a single punch, though, her identity is revealed. Contrary to what she feared, news of Kazuto's death causes the rival gangs to make peace, and they all visit his tomb together. I like how you wouldn't know about Yukine's underground life just by looking at her. She's so sweet and innocent that she can single-handedly put an end to her town's gang wars. The rest of our waifu are an ensemble of side characters. Before the main story, Nagisa struggled to make friends, especially in her new class assignment. That said, there are two girls who take her clothes shopping. She also meets another friend after getting knocked out by one of Yohei's pranks. I guess good things can come from strange places. There's Kotomi's teacher, who worries about Kotomi's health and encourages Tomoyo to visit her house. Rie Nishina used to be a violinist. She was planning to study abroad, but an accident left her with a weakened grip strength. She now continues her music career through singing in the choir. When Nagisa needs the choir teacher, Toshio Komura, to supervise her drama club, she and her friends have to prove their determination to Rie by challenging the basketball team to a match. Ultimately, both clubs agree to share the same supervisor. Two of the other choir girls are Sugisaka and Harada. After graduation, Rie and Sugisaka help Nagisa get a job with them at the restaurant. They also appear to be living together at the end of the story. Then we have Mitsui, a girl who at first refuses Fuuko's starfish gift. She used to know Fuuko before the accident, and initially responds to her starfish carvings with animosity, as it's distracting for seniors who are studying for exams. Eventually, though, she caves, accepting the starfish and attending Koko's wedding after the exams. While we're at it, let's go ahead and include Misae's two classmates from the flashback, Yuki and Saki. They convince the cat Katsuki to infiltrate their school dressed as a girl. He doesn't count as a waifu, but we still love our femboys here. There are also 4 babes who hang out with Yukine's gang. They welcome Tomoyo and his friends to their hideout, a quaint bar in town. The girl with the cleavage ran away from home, prompting her little brother Yu to come find her. It seems there's nothing to worry about though, as these delinquents aren't as bad as they seem. With that, we've covered 28 waifu from Clannad and Clannad After Story. It's fair to say that Key's stories don't always make sense, and they create supernatural drama that brings us to tears. That said, there's so much heart in it that I can't help but be inspired. You might notice that none of these waifu happen to be my certified favorites. That's purely a matter of my personal taste in outfits and character designs, and has no bearing on the actual quality here. As a whole, Clannad is one of my all-time favorite anime, and the love between Tomoya and Nagisa is one of anime's finest romances. Heck, literally every romance in this story makes me cry. Which ones are your favorites? Be sure to check out my Waifu Files playlist for more exciting episodes. Also, let me know which anime or games you want to see me cover in a future video. See you next time!
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. Video Gamer 75, Trodai Connacht, Steven Elak, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Free Brick, Olympian Doll, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Dionysus God of Wine and Madness, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X 77, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.